Hello and welcome back to Navigating NIL. My name is Tyler Langford, and I'm very excited today to be joined by one of the top NIL athletes in the country, freshman defensive back Terian Williams. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be on the show, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So as we were kind of just chatting about before we started recording, I know you're finishing up your freshman year at Stanford, and that you had a kind of an interesting recruiting process, and we've spoken a little bit for the Eckerd 10 about some of that stuff. But I'd love to, get a little bit of background. Tell us about your time in high school as an athlete, what your recruitment was like, and how you ended up at Stanford.
Yes. So time in high school was good. I received my first offer for college in eighth grade. It was from Howard University. I spent my first 2 years at Parkview High School, my last two at Johns Creek High School. All good years. My recruiting really took off my freshman year, in the freshman year, going into sophomore year. As we talked about in the Eckerd 10, my sophomore year, I had a real big game against one of the top teams in the country. After that game, recruiting started skyrocketing. Definitely great years going through. It's actually a funny story. Stanford came to recruit one of our running backs my freshman year, and I had introduced myself, and he had said that I would have to take AP classes if I wanted to be at Stanford. I was like, "Nah, I'm good. Never mind." And then it just so happens later on, I end up junior year and stuff. I end up getting in contact with Stanford. It became one of my top schools, and it went on from there.
That's great. And it is kind of interesting, whether or not you're an athlete, the way the college process works out. I mean, mine was kind of unique too. And it is, when you're getting recruited that early, I'm sure that it is kind of a longer process, right, for you than it is for everybody else. So what's that like for you then? You're an eighth grader with a scholarship offer. How do you avoid letting that get to your head and continue working, right, to get to a point where your offers continue to grow?
Yes. I never really let it get to my head. I can't even tell you at what point that it actually hit me that, offers are coming in. I'm getting looked at by college coaches, and really turned into a business now. It's not just, playing football for fun. It's a business. I would say, I was part of my senior year, my junior senior year was part of that COVID time. So I didn't get like the full, recruitment process, and taking all the visits and stuff like that. They opened up officials the summer going into my senior year, so I was able to take 3 official visits. But before then, it was a whole bunch of the COVID was going on, so I couldn't take a lot of the visits. So I was in that time period, so it was different, but it was still enjoyable. Recruiting process is something different. It is something different. I'll say it like that.
I bet. So what was it like for you? How did you approach the process? Was it something where you had schools in mind ahead of time? Did you kind of let the opportunities come to you and then evaluate it from there? Describe what your approach was.
My approach was definitely just letting the schools, come. I reached out to schools, and then if they were obviously interested, we'll go into conversations. I talked to coaches weekly. Broke basically. I was recruiting them the same way they were recruiting me. I was doing research on them, their programs, the things they've done in their history, future things they have going on forward. Head coaches, assistant coaches, position coaches. So I was doing my research on the schools also. Definitely want to select the right place.
So then at what point did you commit to Stanford? Did you commit pretty early? Did you wait till towards the end of your process?
I committed right before my senior year of high school. Um, yeah, it was definitely exciting. I wanted to take my official visit there first. So I took my official visit in the summer, and I committed somewhere around that August time. Definitely when I came out here to Palo Alto, I fell in love with the campus, fell in love with the coaching staff, just everything they have going, the alumni base, everything that's here is just beautiful.
So what separated, you mentioned the campus is amazing, obviously Stanford, amazing academics, coaching staff, but obviously you're getting recruited by a lot of good schools. So was it something where you just kind of had a gut feeling about Stanford, or were there some specific things where, maybe Stanford did a better job showing you things you valued than other schools? What separated them for you at the end of the day?
I would say in the recruiting process, you kind of have that gut feeling, like when you go somewhere, you're like, I don't know if this will work out, or oh man, this looks good, or or that this the spot. So when I came visit Stanford, I got that this the spot feeling. Got the feeling, then saw the campus, California, alumni base, football, the history, all of that. So definitely, somewhere where I could thrive, somewhere where it will expand my horizon, expand my knowledge, expand my networking. So definitely thinking about the future, what I can do, the things I want to do in life.
Yeah, and that's obviously, the best way to approach it, right? I mean, I've had guys on who are, NIL agents, and their big thing is let's make sure you're picking the right school because those opportunities will come. And I've had people who, I interviewed one guy who played baseball at Texas Tech, and he went there because it was his biggest offer, and he ended up, graduating from the University of Texas as just an undergrad student, no sports. But his whole process for finding the right school was very different than most people. So it's good that you were able to identify that from an early or from an early time period. But then you get on campus at Stanford, right, and you're from Georgia, and California is going to be a different type of culture, right, and Stanford's a different animal when it comes to those academics. So what was that transition like for you then, as a young man going from what you've known in Georgia to a whole new environment?
Academic wise, I would say it wasn't really like a big transition. I would say the hardest part of Stanford is trying to get into the school because of the rigorous application process. I had to go through the application process like a regular student to get into the school like a regular student. It wasn't like, I'm an athlete, so I automatically get in. We also have to go through the application process. Academic wise, I was at a top academic school in Georgia, Johns Creek High School. I would say the only difference is, which is something I'm good at, is when you come here, it's big on like networking, talking to people, getting outside your shell, and that's something that I'm comfortable doing is talking to people. Being outside my shell, being outgoing, creating those conversations, shaking those hands, you know, stuff like that. So it's definitely something that if somebody was to come here, that's something that you have to learn.
And are you in the business school?
I am not. Business is we have a graduate, it's a graduate degree for business. They don't have the undergraduate for business.
Gotcha. Because I mean, everything you mentioned is similar to what my experience has been in college, right? I mean, I feel like you're in high school and you kind of view college as like, all right, a lot of it is class based, and you're learning from your professors. But I've found, at least in my experience, like you said, like it's really about being able to advocate for yourself, shake hands, right? Go and kind of introduce yourself and be able to just go represent yourself in a good manner. And all of those things are obviously things that connect with NIL specifically. And for those who don't know, I wouldn't have ever come across. I mean, I'm sure at some point I could have, but you reached out to us and sent us some good information about you, and we'll get a lot of emails from people, but yours stood out because you gave us a quick resume and you were just like, "Hey, I'm interested." And you ended up having, obviously, are the perfect fit. We're now doing this deal, doing a podcast, doing the Ecker 10. Was that something that coming out of high school you just kind of took and ran with, or was it a process for you? How'd you get to the point where, it's almost surgical, where you can just send these out, right? Do deals and also use NIL for good.
Right. I find it comes easy in terms of the whole marketing business, but that's just something that I love to do. I've been doing like marketing and business classes since like early elementary, and then middle school they had like a business class. High school I was doing the business. So definitely it's something that I just love to do. Marketing, building brand. The worst somebody can say is no or no response at all. You never know where a conversation go, or you just reaching out a hand, simply as that. So I think everything depends on like the way you market yourself, the way you build that brand. So definitely, when I reached out to y'all, I was like, the worst they could say is no, we're not interested. The best they could say is we're doing what we're doing now. So definitely, just can't be scared of the no's.
Totally. So I know NIL obviously is relatively new, but you're in a unique position where, yeah, it's new, but it became a thing, right? Basically, when you got on campus. So it's your world as much as anybody else's, right? Like you're not playing catch up. So is that something that immediately upon getting on campus at Stanford, you started to dive into NIL, or was it something that you kind of hit on later?
It's definitely something that I hit on once I got to campus. Even before campus, like in Georgia, they haven't like opened it up to where high school athletes can,
Right.
compensate off of it. But in terms of research wise, how I'm build my brand, how I'm, contact companies, different things like that. Something I was already working on before I even got to campus. So then once I got on campus, it's just clockwork. I'm going, I'm going, I'm going. So definitely, doing my research, doing my due diligence in terms of the things I have to do to build my brand, reach out to companies, and make the most of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I could give the rundown from my perspective, I guess, of some of the materials that you had sent over. But if you could give a quick breakdown kind of what your process is like, because from my understanding, right, you send us a quick email and it's got a lot of info that doesn't take you a lot of time to put in, and it doesn't take us a lot of time to break it down. And that's the first time I've ever had an athlete, reach out in that way. So how did you, I guess, learn or teach yourself to start doing that? Can you give us some insights on what you try and include when you're reaching out to companies?
Yeah. So, well, first I would say I learned it from like simple marketing skills from like middle school, high school, when you like the same way you like pitching, we did like different, like projects pitching to a company. And then like I was part of this, it's not really like an organization, but it's kind of like a class. This like I guess you say organization that we had in high school. It was called the 3DE program, and it's basically classmates, we come together and we partner with like a business, and they bring us a problem, and we have to basically find a solution to their problem. Different things like that, and give a pitch, and they have to pick which one sounds the best. So it kind of like correlates of finding the pitch, figure out what they want to hear and stuff like that. So when I'm making my template on like the things I want to send out to a company, first I want to do my research on the company, understand do their values follow mine also in their mission statement, and then I want to make sure they know where I'm at, Stanford University, what I have going on academically, athletically, hit the big attributes I have, different things I've accomplished, different awards, and then basically a way that we can help each other, something that I can do for them, they can do for me, what I see related to our future. And then I just leave my number, and then like maybe probably like some infographics, just so they can read over something that they can look at quick. It doesn't get drawn out, basically, so they can just understand where that I'm coming from a professional standpoint. It's just I'm not just anybody just throwing my name out there.
Totally. And it is interesting for me, right? Because I mean, you're my age. And so, and it is such a new world that it was cool kind of seeing your approach, because it was something that I connected with easily, right? It was like doesn't take you too much time, doesn't take us too much time, but those infographics, I think you had three of them. Like, I got a real quick idea of who you were. You put the right things out there in terms of, I go to Stanford, right? We're an education based company. You're not going to, like you said, you got to get into Stanford. You don't just like, they don't just let you in. So, I mean, this is like, it makes me really happy because we did, like you said, how can I help you and vice versa? We did the Ecker 10, which is good promotion for you. And it's something that our people like a lot. And you did a good enough job now that we're going to, pay you to come on and do this. And it is like the perfect case study for what we want to push and what we value is like kids are reaching out and advocating for themselves and building their personal brand, right? And you mentioned earlier that, yes, this, you're an athlete and it's fun and you're playing sports, but at the end of the day, like, it's a business and you're your own business. So what was that like for you when you kind of realized that? Was that a big, paradigm shift for you?
Uh, I wouldn't say it's like a big shift, but it's kind of like, on and off the field, the coaches that recruited me, the coaches that are coaching me now, everything that I do reflects them. And then they still have to go home, feed their family, provide for theirs. So it all in a sense is a business, like the companies that I'm partnered with, I'm a reflection on their company now. Their reflection on me. So I would say everything, yeah, everything I do is just a business. And once you understand that, there's no hard feelings. Like everything is a business decision, everything that you do. So once you understand that, then it's a sense of your approach to it will be different. Everything you do will be, solidified. Basically, like if you was walking out the house with your parents, everything that you do is going to be solidified. You're just not going to be out there doing anything. So same way I approach with these companies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that is, I mean, that is the way to do it. And like you said, you're representing them and they're also representing you. And so, certain states have restrictions on vice industries, right? Georgia's one of them, actually, where you can't partner with certain companies in certain industries. But then at the end of the day, when you're talking about individual deals, it comes down to the athlete and, what they value in a brand and what values they want to represent. So I know one thing you're big on is service. And so I'm curious, when you're looking for companies, whether it's us, for example, or any of the other number of people you've reached out to, what values, do you look for before you're going to go reach out to them and try and, start representing them?
Obviously you said service, that's one thing. Community work, different things they do in the community. um you know Value if they partnering with nonprofits, bringing in, what are they doing with their money? Is the money just, being thrown out, or other people they partner with, what are they doing? So anytime I look, I always read the mission statements, the body of work, what they're doing, people they've already partnered with, and see basically, is it good for my brand, and then will I be a good fit for them? Because I don't want to just partner with anybody, and then we're both just sitting there, just being partner just to be partner. You want to be partnered with somebody that both of y'all will look good together, and basically you're coming like you're getting married together. So you want to both be able to provide for each other.
Totally, yeah. It's got to be a symbiotic relationship. I mean, it is like you said, like it almost sounds funny to say, but you don't want to partner with someone just because it's a means to an end, right? Because in the moment, great, like you get the paycheck, you can go get your bag, and like that is what it is. But then at the same time, it is really like, all right, well, with this opportunity and me taking advantage of it, or not taking advantage of it, or representing this company or not, like does that impact future deals down the line? Another thing I wanted to really touch on is, and we talked about this a bit on the Ecker 10, but let's get into some of the stuff that you've done, service wise. I know that you took the opportunity to donate some of your own personal NIL earnings to charity and buy up some toys for kids in the community. So, you want to give us a rundown on some of the stuff that you've been able to do with NIL?
Yeah, so like this past Christmas, I was able to provide 10 families in the metro Atlanta area with groceries, toys, and housing for Christmas. Definitely was a blessing. Definitely was able to, identify some families that needed help. And I think the best part was it was just being able to meet these families, hearing their stories. And it's not necessarily that all like they it's not necessarily like they didn't just have anything. It was just like they're having like a hard time right now. They just needed some help, and sometimes all you do is need some help. Definitely, it was good to meet the kids that I met, to see the smiles on their face around Christmas. Definitely a blessing. Uh, another another community project I'm working with Chris Draft on the White Ribbon Project. That's showing lung cancer awareness. Just showing people that we're there, we're here for you. You're being seen. You have people behind you, so partner up with that. And then I'm doing some more things, contacting some more nonprofits. Building my own nonprofit right now. So definitely doing some big things with the NIL earnings. It's just not being pocket; it's going right back into the community. That's one thing I've learned is always give back. You never know what somebody's going through, what they need. I'm playing ball right now. I'm blessed. I want to be able to bless others.
No, absolutely. And I mean, you mentioned it. Ultimately, it comes down to it's a situational thing, right? Like nobody wants to be in a type of situation like that, but it happens. And whether it's temporary or long term, there's the best thing you can do is kind of just be a positive force. I'm from Chicago, so there's plenty of that, in my own community. So I've got a lot of love for that. And I think NIL is something where you can absolutely leverage it for good. So was that something for you where it was difficult, or were you able to just jump right in and maybe tell people how they can get involved in using their NIL for some good reasons?
I wouldn't even say it was really difficult. My mom, she works in the school system, and my dad, he's a police officer in Atlanta, so it was kind of easier to, be able to reach out to different people and find people that were in need, or was going through a hard time. For those that want to help, I would say reach out to local religion, ethics, housing, something like that. They might have people that come to the place that might need help, or reach out to maybe your different partners might know somebody that needs help, or know nonprofits. I'll reach out to some nonprofits, see what they're doing. If they need some help with some money, be able to come bring yourself. You don't want to just throw money out there. Bring yourself too. Be able to show your face, show that you care.
Definitely. And I think, when it comes to service, I've heard it put one way that really stood out to me where it's like, you've got band-aid fixes, which is it'll help in the short term. And then you've got like really going out and making an effort on a personal level too. So like you said, getting to go out there and make a difference in someone's day is beneficial. And I mean, when you're in a position where, you're an athlete and you're doing a lot of good things, why not? Right. I mean, you might as well. So you mentioned that you're doing your own nonprofit. What is that based around?
It's based around helping families and kids. It's the build. Ah man, we're in the middle of it right now. We're in the middle. I just submitted the paperwork. It's like the Build a Village Foundation, something like that. But yeah, it's around helping families, helping kids in need. I have different people I've been partnered up with that wants to help with that. Different other nonprofits that we've talked about. So definitely, we're doing some big things. Definitely doing some big things, and definitely all because NIL, what NCAA has been able to do with that, bringing that in, and the partnerships I've been able to do.
Yeah, no doubt. And we do some stuff. We have a foundation called the Fair Foundation where we pay kids in, lower income neighborhoods to go do service work within their communities, and we pay them through NIL money and basically a collective format. So we'll keep in touch on some service related stuff because I do think that there's some overlap between, what Ecker's doing and what you're doing. But no, that's all wonderful. So I also want to talk a little bit about the football aspect of life, right? I mean, we've got everything off the field. You've got NIL, and you're killing it at all of that. What was it like for you though, transitioning again from you're probably have always been one of the best players on the field, right? Growing up, and then you get to Stanford, and it's not like you're still not a great talent, but you're also surrounded by a lot of other great talents. How has the adjustment from high school to college ball been for you?
I say the adjustment from going from your senior year of high school to freshman year of college. I'll say the speed of the game is like really the only thing that is the big difference. Because everything's moving so fast. Like these guys been in this, you got guys been in the system for 5, 6 years, and then you're coming to a whole new system, and basically quarterbacks are putting the ball on the money. They get into the close window, so everything's in the small details. Everything you do, working your craft every day, battling, you battle with people every day at practice, and you go from being, the star player on the team to now you got stars all around you. And I think the most important thing is to be able to blend with those stars, being able to, work together. All of y'all have the same goal when you're on the team. That's something I love about this team is, we all know our goal. We all work together. It's no hate to one or another on the team. We all love each other. And I think that's the most important thing is to find love within your team. And then going from senior year high school to college, and then now going from my freshman year going into my sophomore year, I can kind of see the game starting to slow down some. It's starting to slow down. The more you get into the system, the more you work it, it starts to slow down. So to anybody that's listening, just wait your time. Just wait. Your time will come. Your time will come. Definitely don't rush the process.
And that's a message that goes a long way nowadays, right? I mean, I'm all for the transfer portal when it comes to guys making decisions that benefit them. I actually, one of my good friends is close with someone who just transferred into Stanford from Tennessee, one of the running backs,
Oh yeah,
Justin.
running back.
Um, and yeah, and it is, which by the way, I know it's very difficult to transfer into Stanford, so good for him. But you talk about how it's slowing down a little bit for you nowadays. What is that something where you kind of got there and you had a welcome to college football moment immediately, or is it you just kind of it's a gradual process, right? Where you go from oh my goodness to all right, I'm starting to get there.
I would say my welcome to college moment was I was doing one-on-one reps against Michael Wilson. He's the receiver that was picked up by the Cardinals, I think, in like the third round. And he's a straight dog, work ethic, everything he does. He's big, strong, route running everything. And I lined up against him in ones, and he's just killing me off the line, killing just right off the line of scrimmage. It was nothing. We were just doing releases and right out the line of scrimmage, and he's over there saying welcome to college. So I'll say that's my welcome to college moment. But yeah, everything's just fast. Everything's just technique wise. Everything's in the small little details. You have to work at it every day. It's not just you bigger, stronger. No, you have to work at it every day. Film study every day. Everything's in your craft. I talk to a lot of the NFL guys, and even their days off, they're working at it. the days on. They're doing another one after that night. Because that's their job now. Everything they do, that's your job. You have to perfect it. You have to, and especially at the DB position, we have to run as fast backwards as they are running forwards. So that's the most important thing, is just working on that craft, getting comfortable doing it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I lost my train of thought briefly, but in terms of the transfer portal, right? It's gotten so big, and when you combine it with NIL, Stanford's in a unique position because, like I said, right, it's very difficult to get in the first place, much less to transfer in there. So, not that Stanford isn't impacted by the portal, but it seems like it's less of an impact because a lot of guys are there for different reasons than just football, right? Which is a wonderful thing. But from your perspective, at someone who is at more of an old school type place when it comes to building and developing the guys that are in your program, how has the portal kind of changed things? Is it something where you're looking over your shoulder, or is it something where it's just there and it's a part of life?
I wouldn't even say it's really changed things. I'd say the portal was always there, to be honest. It's just they've made it easier to transfer in somewhere and be eligible. But the transferring was always there. And then in terms of like, looking over your shoulder, I wouldn't even say you necessarily looking over your shoulder. You worried about behind you, somebody's getting in front of you. Something that my DB coach says now is that you never know who's sitting in this room. So you working on your craft, but you don't know who's in that seat, that empty seat right there. They might come in and try to push you, take your spot. So you can't worry about it. You just got to do you every day. Work to better yourself every day. You can't chase anybody else. You can't chase behind you. You got to go get your 1% every day. As long as you're getting better every day, then you're doing what you need to be done.
No, absolutely. And again, you've mentioned this a couple times, but it is a process. And I got a similar sentiment actually from a guy who's transferred a couple times. I interviewed Gabe Judy Lally, who played at BYU last year after starting his career at Vandy, and he's now at Tennessee. And he and I were talking about, he could have gone to the draft out of BYU and gone through that process, but he had the opportunity to go into Tennessee, right? And you're an SEC country guy originally. You know how it is there. He's like, I don't have any guarantees of starting, but he said at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys who might have more stars than me or who ranked higher than me, and they're watching me play. So it does seem to me at least that a lot of the guys who, are doing well on and off the field, yourself and him included, he's another DB. So maybe there's some mindset things there, but it's not about who's coming for you. It's more about you're kind of coming for everybody else, which seems to be, the best mindset for a D1 athlete.
Yeah, it definitely is because it's Power Five, especially Power Five football. People come in and out. Coaches come in and out. Players come in and out. And the best thing you can do is just work. There's 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars, even 2 stars, no stars. It doesn't matter. Especially when you hit that field, you never really see what somebody's made of until you go against them. Really, you don't know what they're going through, what pushes them to be better every day, what pushes them, what wakes them up. They could be going through something you don't even know about. And then they coming out there every day because they just want to get off their mind. They're doing something for their mom, their dad, their family. So you never know like what somebody's going through and what pushes them to be better every day. So definitely on this level, you just have to work at it. And that's something that, coming in as a freshman that you end up learning is like you never know when your number's called either. Injuries happen a lot in college ball. So you never know when your number's called. And then when your number is called, you have to make the most of the opportunity. So you can show the coach and make it hard for the coach to not put you on the field.
Yeah. I mean, the goal, right, is to make yourself indispensable, right? You don't want them to be able I mean, you want them to be able to function without you, but you don't want them to, think that they can function fine. It's one of those things where you want to be, necessary and you can put yourself in that position by working hard. So what's your motivator then? Did you have it coming into college? Has it changed since you've gotten there? What's that like for you?
I would say I still have the same motivation. I didn't come from like any, bad upcoming or anything like that. I'll say it's actually the opposite. My mom and dad, they've provided for me, done so much for me. And the best way I can thank them is just by doing my due diligence every day. They've from elementary up, they've always been there behind my back, practices, making sure I'm everything everywhere on time. So that whether it's in the classroom, outside the classroom, the best I can do is give my 110% as just a simple thank you for them.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's, to whom much is given, much is, expected and it's got to be earned too. So it's a good thing. I think, it's always good to have that type of support system. And when you go to college so far away, I'm sure, that's a big change, right? You're away from your parents for the first time and you're kind of dealing with, just being in a new environment, both personally and athletically. So how is the coaching staff and your team kind of filled in? Not that you don't still have your parents there for you, but in terms of those who are immediately around you, how has your, team and coaching staff kind of shifted into that, family?
Yeah, definitely they've shifted into that family. I think I was talking to like one of the guys earlier in the week. I was like, you guys just, push me to be better. We push each other. Hey man, wake up, we finna go work out. Let's go. Outside of, the regular workouts. Hey, let's tomorrow morning we're gonna watch film. Let's do this. So definitely pushing each other to be better. And I think that's one special thing about Stanford is you don't even have that at a lot of, universities. Even the top university, have a lot of guys coming in late, a lot of guys, not want to do extra work. But here we do so much extra work, so much extra film, always on time. It's something that we won't even have to worry about. So being around those like-minded people has helped me in the sense of creating, helping me become a better person, better man, and definitely, maturing me to what I need to do.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not like you don't have a great head on your shoulders to begin with, but when you have guys like that around you in college driving you, and then you've got your parents who clearly did such a good job, with you growing up and all that, it is kind of one of those things where you're like, all right, you might as well take advantage of those opportunities. So I think we've learned a lot of good things about you today, but I've got 5 questions I got to ask every guest before I let them go. So for the next couple minutes, I'm going to run you through a bit of a gauntlet. So the first one is, what is your funniest embarrassing sports moment?
Funniest embarrassed. Oh, uh, funniest. I wouldn't even say funniest. Embarrassing sports moment was my freshman year. It was my freshman year playoffs. We were going against Archer, and I was on kick. I was on kickoff. They kicked the ball off. Andrew Booth. He's in the league now. I'm happy to
Uh
say that. It
huh.
wasn't just a regular. He's in the league now. He was a senior. He ended up going to Clemson. It was,
Yep.
but he was kick return. He broke loose. He's coming up down the sideline. I'm coming down, coming down. I think I got a good shot on. Boom! I close my eyes. I look up. This man just hurdled over me on the sideline. Yeah, but I always say he's in the league now. So it was just, yeah, it was an NFL player that ended up doing it. But yeah, that was in the. It wasn't like crazy embarrassing, but yeah, it was just like, man, that just happened.
That's hilarious. I've got a buddy Neil who was a walk on at Clemson, and he played high school football in Georgia, and he's from Johns Creek actually, and he played Alvin Kamara and got smoked on a kickoff, and
Yeah,
he won't even send us the video, but
yeah,
it's one of those things where he's like you, he's like, hey man, he is in the league, so it's
he's in the league.
absolutely that's great. Well, you know what, if you're gonna Booth is a stud, so if you're gonna get hurdled by anybody, he's not a bad one. Well, all right. Well, I know you're a disciplined guy, but let's say you got a day off and, maybe you want to get some extra calories in there. What's your go-to cheat meal?
Cheat meal, man. I don't know. I've gotten so used to Chipotle on the diet meals now. Keep my body right. Cheat meal, I would say, man, I don't even know. It would have to. It's something either like a um, chicken Alfredo or a or like some like wings or something. Wings and fries. I love wings and fries or chicken Alfredo. Or if I'm back home, I stop by a Cookout or Waffle House.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. The classics. Next up, if you could pick one superpower, what are you rocking with?
Ah, man, I'm gonna do a. I'm gonna do. It will either. I'll probably do invisibility. I
That's a
just
good one.
I just think that's like invisible. Like nobody can see me. Like I'm just invisible. Nobody can see me. I'll just walk in somewhere and nobody knows where I'm at. Yeah.
I like that. That's the first time someone said that. I like that one actually. I'll give you props.
Yeah.
It's all right. Let's say you're going to a deserted island and you gotta survive for, we'll call it a year. What
Mhm.
3 things are you bringing with you?
I think they used to ask this in high school. I will always say I have to have a football with me.
Uh
I will
huh.
always say that. I will always say I have to have my mama with me. And then I would say, man, what's third? I would say football. My mom would have to be with me, and man, I guess I would need some type of food since it's deserted. We can get water out the cactuses or something. But yeah,
There you
so
go.
food, mom, and football.
There you go. The reserve, the food reserves, and then the essentials. And
Yes,
then final question, who is the greatest athlete you've ever played against?
man. We got. I've had a couple athletes. Amazing. I'm from Georgia because I played against some great guys.
Oh yeah,
I got a couple. I got so Booth is one.
I bet.
Um, Arik Gilbert, crazy athlete.
In high school too, he was
Yes,
just ridiculous.
ridiculous athlete. I actually had to like man up him. That was the same game I had the interception in. Actually, he
Oh
was on that.
really?
He was on that team, and I had like man up against him about like most of the game. Crazy athlete.
Because he's
Him,
what 6'8", but like
yeah, he's
two
and he
fifty and can
yeah
just go.
he moves like a deer.
It's
It's crazy.
crazy.
Um, him. I went against Josh Downs. We scrimmaged a lot back in high school. Josh Downs, and I'm gonna give you one more. Let me think. Yes. Grayson. I would say, yeah, I'm gonna get some good athletes, man. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, that's fair. And that is a list too. And I will say, you're a Georgia guy, so this is my real last question. What's the best high school football state in the country?
It's Georgia.
It's there you go.
We argue all the time up here,
I
and
bet.
I give them I give them all the time. I say, yeah, you got modern day Bosco, all of that, but I say like y'all comparing stuff per capita. Georgia's smaller than we always argue. Cali, Texas, Florida. I always say like Georgia is smaller than all three of those and still have the same numbers as y'all. So like Georgia ball, I say we all have good teams. I say there's a drop off after a couple of y'all teams, then it's a drop off. I say all of us we can compete.
No, big time. Well, we've done business with, the Texas guys, and they have so many teams and so
Yeah.
many coaches. And then, like you said, the per capita is crazy. California's funny though, because their prep schools recruit Georgia guys, so it's like you'll see some of those dudes and Texas guys out there. So it's different. But no, I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure we'll overlap again. But yeah, great job, man. And we'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, and definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure you go ahead and follow us on every platform, wherever you get your podcasts, because we will be dropping another one in just a couple of weeks.